A new discovery in Yellowstone National Park has scientists more worried than ever that it might blow its lid and end all life on Earth. But there's also good news because researchers have discovered something that could stop it. So what is going on with the Yellowstone supervolcano? What is this secret weapon, and how would it work? These are some of the biggest questions surrounding this topic right now, and we want to help explain it all. So let's start at the beginning. Yellowstone National Park is famous for its beauty, its geysers, and its supervolcano. The volcano itself lies beneath the park, and most people don't even realize it's there. That's why when the United States Geological Survey announced recently that there had been a swarm of earthquakes near the volcano, many people were quite surprised. Now, if you have seen the movie Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones, then you know exactly what's about to happen. There will be earthquakes, then a massive eruption, and then the whole city gets destroyed. But while it sounds like a scary movie plot, researchers say that although there are earthquakes, they shouldn't worry us too much because swarms of earthquakes around the world happen all the time. However, there are a few things that make this one different. The first is that these earthquakes weren't the normal type where you feel the ground shake and maybe a vase falls off the shelf. Instead, they were tiny quakes that measured less than 3 on the Richter scale. While they weren't big enough to cause major damage, they happened often. In just 3 weeks, more than 1,000 little earthquakes struck the area. But the reason they're so interesting is not only because they happen so often but also because of where they happened. Each earthquake occurred within a small pocket of land that's very close to the magma chamber below the volcano. Researchers know this because they can use special technology to listen to the sounds the earthquakes make. By analyzing the frequencies and the way they travel through the rock, experts can tell what's happening deep underground. Now you may be wondering why they can't just drill down and check. Well, part of the reason is that drilling through solid rock is extremely hard, but also because there is another problem. If you drill into a magma chamber, you will most likely trigger an eruption. You see, the magma chamber is full of molten rock, and by drilling into it, you're essentially poking the bear. So until we have some really cool new drilling technology, we'll have to do with listening to the magma chamber's rumblings. But why is the magma chamber so important? Well, a magma chamber is basically a giant pool of liquid rock under the Earth's surface. It's what fuels volcanic eruptions. But here's the thing. Researchers can measure things like gas emissions and the temperatures of various geysers in the park. All of these measurements suggest that the magma chamber is getting ready to blow. Scientists usually describe the magma chamber as being like a pot of water on the stove. As the water boils, pressure builds up until it reaches a critical point. At that point, the water bubbles over and you get a big eruption. In Yellowstone's case, the water is replaced by magma, and instead of hot steam, it would spew ash and rock into the sky. And this wouldn't be your average volcanic eruption. When it comes to volcanoes, there are different levels of eruptions. The smallest ones are called Hawaiian eruptions, and they're characterized by fluid lava flows. Then come the Strombolian eruptions, which feature short bursts of lava fountains. Both of these are pretty common and usually don't pose much danger to human life unless you're standing directly on top of them. Then, there's the Volcanian eruption, which is much more dangerous and characterized by powerful explosions. These eruptions can send ash and rock miles into the air and pose a serious threat to anyone nearby. Finally, the most violent type of volcanic eruption is the Plinian eruption, named after Pliny the Younger, who described the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. These eruptions are extremely rare, and involve massive amounts of ash and gas being shot into the atmosphere. So how big would the eruption be? Some researchers believe that if it were to blow, it would be a super eruption, meaning it would be 8 times larger than any other eruption in the last 26,000 years. So, what does that look like? Well, in 1815, Mount Tambora in Indonesia erupted with a force of 6 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index. This was the largest eruption in recorded history. It sent more than 50 billion cubic feet of ash and rock into the air and killed thousands of people. Now imagine something 8 times larger than that. The entire United States would be covered in ash and the global temperature would drop by several degrees. People living nearby would be burned alive or buried under hot ash, and crops would fail around the world leading to famine. Basically, it would set humanity back centuries. Fortunately, we don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. A super eruption only happens once every 600,000 years or so. However, researchers are still concerned about the smaller eruptions that could occur before the big one. And that's where the earthquakes come in. They're a sign that pressure is building up inside the volcano and it could erupt at any time, so what do we do? Some scientists believe the answer could lie in something called the magma plumbing system. You see, the magma chamber is connected to the rest of the magma reservoir through pipes called feeder dikes. These pipes carry magma from deep within the Earth's crust to the magma chamber where it collects before being released during an eruption. By understanding how the plumbing system works, researchers hope to find a way to divert the magma away from the chamber and reduce the risk of an eruption. The idea is similar to how engineers sometimes build diversion tunnels for rivers to prevent flooding. In this case, the goal would be to create a safe place for the magma to go so it doesn't build up and cause an eruption. Now, it might sound like science fiction, but it's actually something that's being seriously considered by experts. One researcher even suggested creating a network of wells that would allow magma to be pumped out of the reservoir, reducing the pressure and preventing an eruption. But there are a lot of problems with doing something like this. For one thing, drilling into the magma chamber is dangerous and could trigger an eruption. Plus, it's not clear how much magma could be pumped out before the eruption blew its lid anyway. It's a risky idea, but it could be worth it if it meant saving countless lives. Another option would be to try and trigger a smaller eruption to release some of the pressure. This might sound crazy, but it's actually something that's done fairly regularly at Mount St. Noggins in Japan. Every few years the volcano gets a little restless, so scientists build a tunnel and divert gases from the magma chamber to prevent a larger eruption. It's not a perfect solution, but it's better than nothing. If none of those options work, then our best bet would be to evacuate the area. Yellowstone National Park is already a popular tourist destination. So during an eruption, the government would likely order everyone to leave the park and surrounding areas. Of course, this would cause chaos and panic, but it would save a lot of lives. In the end though, the most likely scenario is that nothing will happen anytime soon. Scientists closely monitor Yellowstone National Park, and so far they haven't found any evidence of an imminent eruption. The earthquakes are probably just a sign that the magma chamber is getting a little angry, but not blown its lid angry. So while we shouldn't ignore the rumblings from Yellowstone, we also shouldn't live in fear of a massive eruption. Just remember, if it does blow, you heard it here first. So do you think we should try and stop the volcano or just let nature take its course? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.